Let's go live here. And I think we're up.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
says live.
we are up. So let's take a minute and share this. All right.
Okay, I'm sharing it to my profile.
Okay, good evening, everybody. It's logging on. Happy November 9th. I know it's boorish conversation to talk about the weather and the calendar, but I cannot believe it's November 9th. There's a turkey shortage.
And 75 degrees today.
And 75 degrees, right. So I'm on the phone with my butcher ordering a turkey and I'm sweating. It's crazy.
Just real quick before we go on.
We're on right
Maybe
now.
my daughter- maybe my youngest daughter is watching. Just wish her a happy birthday. Her birthday was yesterday.
Oh, excellent. How old?
Melissa Gwen Durr. She's 35.
35 years old. Fantastic. Is she in South Jersey or does she live elsewhere?
All my kids are within. My oldest is about 20 minutes away. My youngest is about 10 minutes, and my son is 5 minutes away.
So you also managed to keep all your kids in New Jersey. Which
Well,
is
they were 3 of my votes.
That's perfect. That's one way to do it. You and Jay Weber. I don't know if you've gotten to know Jay Weber up in North Jersey, but you know, that's his long-term re-election strategy. The guy's got like 8 or 9 kids.
Just keep building the family, right?
Just keep building the family out and register to vote. Yeah. That's how you do it. All right. Lots of people logging on and saying congratulations. Hello, Robin. Hello, Gina. Hello, Bob. You've already got quite a fan club, and I was laughing my rear end off in recent days because I keep track of this stuff, and I'm looking around on Twitter, and there are tribute pages to you.
Yes, I've seen that. This is getting ridiculous.
It's comforting to hear a politician acknowledge that the adulation's ridiculous, right? Because it shows that
It is.
proud.
I'm just a truck driver, Matt. I'm just a truck driver. This was not about me. I wish people would just enjoy the victory of Gloucester County, of New Jersey, of the red wave that took place. I mean, yeah, it's great that we took out one of the most powerful guys, but it wasn't me who took him out. It was the people who took him out.
Well, they took him out, but this is going to be one of the things we're going to talk about tonight. Couldn't have taken him out without the right candidate, the right message. For years, whenever I go and talk to a Republican club, I always say, because they say, oh, well, how do you get elected? And I say, well, I've never been elected to anything, but I've watched enough people do it wrong. And one way to look at it is, sometimes the rains are going to come, sometimes they're not. You have to build your own. And if you get a good cycle like you did, and you have the right infrastructure around yourself, you have the right boat that's going to actually float, you might actually make it to shore. And I think that in a lot of ways, that was you. You were the right product for your district. So when the rains came, and they certainly did, in Virginia and New Jersey this year, you made it to shore in spectacular fashion. And one thing we have to correct tonight before we get started, because not that I don't want to give you full credit, because it's still, the money disparity is tremendous, but this $157 myth has grown up online. And it's fun, and it makes for great reading that you're a truck driver who spent $156 at Dunkin' Donuts. You actually spent more like 8 or 9, right? 8 or 9,000.
Yeah, that was pre-primary. I bought a few things prior to the primary. That was New Jersey elect filing date. It just goes to show you how far behind New Jersey is in their, clerical staff, with the administration never getting anything right with DMV and stuff. Well, obviously New Jersey elect is behind.
Right. There's not too much that works well around here, which is something
No.
you're going to have to tackle in the very near future. All right, let's see. We've got, I think, a good chunk of people logged on here. Hello, Derek. Hello, Joshua. Joshua says, I think South Jersey will become solid red. I think it's already reddish purple.
We did a very good job. I mean, with Jackie Vigilante and Steve Cush directing Gloucester County, we elected 2 county commissioners in Nick DeSilvio and Chris Conwell. Along with myself, we have 2 assembly persons in Beth Ann McCarthy Patrick and Beth Sawyer. And then you have John Salmons, the first African-American county sheriff. I mean, and then you had multiple, council seats. You had Wanda Tranquillo and Brian Nastasi in Gibbstown. I mean, there was multiple people who got elected all over this area. It wasn't just me, and it wasn't just one message. It was the sentiment of the people that they were angry and upset because they were being ruled like subjects to a king. And they decided to make themselves heard. In grand fashion, I might add.
No, it was grand fashion. I mean, we know that as important as the legislative seats are, those county seats and those local seats, I mean, those folks, it's more than just leaf collection, people.
Yeah.
I mean, they affect your daily life as much or as more in some ways as a governor sitting in Trenton. So to begin to see Republicans kind of chip away at the blue Democrat wall that kind of spread out from Camden over the course of the last few decades, that's a big damn deal. Huge.
And like I said, it was all teamwork. Not one person could have done it alone. It needed a team. And then we're going to need that team to keep building and growing.
All right, let's
Because
see.
we
Dan,
can't
are you
just
all
rest
showing
on
up?
these laurels. We have to actually make action and make it happen.
Right, which is something we too often do in this part of the world. We win and then we don't build on it. The Democrats, they never take a break. They live in a constant campaign footing. So
And if there's something
Republicans
to
are going to have
learn
to learn
from them, we should learn that.
Yeah, no, that's true. And we should probably stop it at that, right?
Yeah, definitely at that.
I always say the Democrats never take a break because politics is their whole life. Republicans are busy making a living. We're busy making capitalism work. We're busy trying to make capitalism at this point survive in this country. We're working. Democrats, many of them are on the government payroll. They're patronage employees, and politics is their whole life. I happen to know about this firsthand because I used to be a Democrat. Okay.
Yeah,
Right, you got
former-
wise. You got wise. You said used to.
That's right.
A long time ago. A
Former.
long time ago.
Let's
Uh-huh.
kick this bad boy off here, though. Now that I think we've got some people logged on. Good evening, all. You're here for another Save Jersey Live. I am Matt Rooney, the proprietor of this virtual establishment, and you know the guy who is my co-host with the most every week here on Save Jersey Live. He is a PR expert. He is loquacious. He is punchy. He is an expert on all things political and Broadway as well. He's a man of many interests and always interesting opinions. The one, the only Cherry Hills Dan Cirucci. Dan, how are you?
Very well.
You're very well. You got your popcorn.
I have my popcorn. Yes. Right here.
Excellent.
Popcorn.
Excellent. Well, you're going to need it tonight because this is an interesting one. Because actually, as I'm sitting here getting ready for tonight's guest, because you always have to prepare. I know we make this look effortless and easy, folks, but a good deal of writing and prepping and thinking goes into these conversations with interesting people like the center of tonight's program. But I was actually looking online, and it looks like David Wildstein over at the New Jersey Globe reported within the last hour that Senate President Steve Sweeney, may have heard of him. He's a little relevant to tonight's Save Jersey Live. He will concede his loss to Edward Durr tomorrow, and the Senate Democrats will convene to elect a successor to Sweeney on Friday. So it looks like about a week and a day after election 2021, Steve Sweeney is going to confirm one of the most shocking storylines of election 2021 in New Jersey, Virginia, or anywhere else. The second most powerful Democrat in the state of New Jersey lost his seat, and he's been in the legislature since I think 2002. And yours truly was in high school, to give it a little bit of perspective here. Too long for almost anybody to be in politics. But he
Almost
lost
20 years.
Almost 20 years. That's right. I mean, you think about how much has changed in those 20 years. He lost his seat to a man who is emerging nationally as the new symbol of the everyman. He is a truck driver for Raymore and Flanagan out of Gloucester County. He's a guy who's familiar to Dan and I because, as Dan was talking about offline before we got started, he's run into him at events over the years. An affable guy, an engaging guy. And if you don't believe me, he's engaging. Just ask the voters of LD3 because he spent a fraction of what Steve Sweeney spent this year and still managed to topple a political behemoth. And in so doing, we're kind of lucky to have him tonight because he's been on Fox. He's a very well sought after political celebrity virtually overnight. And probably much to his chagrin. Not that he didn't want the job, he ran for it, but I'm sure you certainly weren't planning on people planting on your lawn and calling you all hours of the night. So
no, that was a little overwhelming to wake up Wednesday morning 4:30 and have a news van out there.
Yeah,
I haven't even walked my dogs yet.
Yeah, it's got to be hard to go to the convenience store, gas up or do anything right now, right?
But it actually feels good when people smile and wave at you and say hi and give you a thumbs up. It does feel good a little bit.
So can I call you now that Sweeney's going to concede Senator-elect Edward Durr? You're still shying away from the Senator-elect, because I was fascinated to see today that you said that because Sweeney said that he still wanted to see the votes counted, and we still know that there's some votes out there because of this insane electoral system we have in New Jersey. I mean, we're still counting incredibly. You were fine giving him some time, and you weren't going to declare victory until he conceded.
Well, I think he's earned that right with his many years of service, don't you? I mean, wouldn't you want every legal vote counted?
Well, I think, and I'm curious to get your take on this, having now been through this. I think you got to have one or the other, right? You either have to have a system like Florida that's buttoned up and efficient, and we know almost always what the result is by the time we go to bed, or at least when we wake up. Or we have to stop declaring victory and stop having AP projections until the votes are done counting. You can't have both, because don't you think that it undermines confidence in the system?
Well, I think there is definitely issues with our election process and the things that take place. And it's definitely something that should be addressed.
And I'm sure it will be after this election, Dan, because everyone is buzzing about these races, particularly this one down in LD3. Let's walk through a little bit about who you are, because everyone has heard truck driver, check. They've heard that you beat Steve Sweeney, check. They've heard that you spent a fraction of the money that he spent to keep his seat. But we don't know much else about you at this point or your background. Are you a lifelong Gloucester County guy? Do you hail from somewhere else?
I was born and raised in New Jersey. I lived in Camden County, actually. I grew up in Gloucester City, right across from Philadelphia.
Gloucester City is a great town.
It was a great town. I enjoyed my childhood growing up in Gloucester City.
Yeah.
And about the time I was 17, 18, my parents purchased a home down here in Gloucester County and Logan Township, and I moved here with them, and then shortly after I ended up getting married at a very young age, 20. And that's where I ended up bouncing a couple places throughout Gloucester County before I settled in Salem County and raised my 3 kids for 30 years. I lived there. And then when my father got sick, I moved back to Gloucester County next to my father and got remarried.
I don't know what it is about South Jersey, but it's not one of the flashiest or most glamorous places to live. I mean, people know that I'm from South Jersey, Dan's from South Jersey, but it's a hard place to leave. There's just something about it. The people are real. It's obviously got a lot of great amenities. I mean, you're close to major cities. You're also close to the beaches. You've got woods. You have a little bit of everything. It's a great place to live. And I know you mentioned that you have children that actually stayed in New Jersey. They decided to stay in South Jersey. There's just something about this place, isn't there?
Well, yeah, I like I said, I've always loved the state I come from, but I think it's one of the greatest states. It not only is it a great place to live for like you said, but I had pointed out earlier to you, with you have culture and as sporting events, very easy access, but you don't have to deal with the inner city problems of the traffic and everything. You have the farming, which is great vegetables and fruits that grows in South Jersey. I'm sorry, I think we have the best tomatoes in the world.
Absolutely.
You'll never move me on that. Yeah, I think we have great beaches that, you can, it take what, an hour plus to get to the shore from here. So it's just a great place to live. We have the great weather because we get all 4 seasons.
We do. That's why, I love our friends down south because they have a much better tax climate than we have. The food's not quite as good, but there's a lot of things to love. But I would miss leaves and autumn and foliage, and I'd miss all the transitions. I mean, we take it for granted probably. I cut you off, Dan. I'm sorry.
I wanted to ask Ed, what time did you get to bed on Tuesday night?
I didn't go to bed. I ended up kind of laying back on the couch with my dog in my lap. It was about 3 o'clock when between 2:30 and 3 o'clock, my eldest finally left. My other 2 kids left because it was just us, my family and my grandkids over. We watched the numbers, and that's when my son-in-law kept reading off of how I was getting closer. And then when I got the call of the numbers from Salem County, that's when she smiled and, and they left. And then, like I said, my nephew, which lives next door to me, gave me a call about 4:30 and said, there's a news van outside your door. So I had about an hour of a nap.
And that's when your heart sank, right?
It was like, it's still a little hard to deal with.
And you're very open about the fact that obviously you wanted to win because you put yourself out there. You put a lot of work into this race. You pounded a lot of pavement, knocked a lot of doors. But you weren't planning on winning. You knew it was an uphill battle.
It was going to be a story. I knew that.
And what does that? What does that mean when you say you knew it was going to be a story?
Well, he's the Senate president,
right.
So clearly beating the Senate president would be a story. Absolutely, right. I knew that. I did not know that the national news would care. Just a regular guy from South Jersey beats the Senate, and they're making. I'm reading comments on Facebook. You're my heroes, and I'm not a hero. I'm just a guy who ran for office who wants to help the state that I grew up in. Make it better. I want to make it better for everybody, for all people, all walks of life. It doesn't matter who you are. Like I've said before, I don't care who you are or what your problems are. If I can help you in any way, I want you to pick up the phone and call me.
Now, Ed, you ran for office before. This wasn't your first rodeo, as we say. You're down there, Cowtown, so I'll say this wasn't your first rodeo. So
good place to go on a Saturday night.
There you go. So
Cowtown.
Did you? I mean, why did you keep coming back and running again?
Well, yeah, when I ran in 19, I thought we did a good job. It was Beth Sawyer and I who ran. And I thought we did a good job, but I did learn the mistakes that I made during that running. I saw what I did wrong, and I applied a new attitude. And plus, I was asked to run. And I am a team member. I believe in if you're asked to step up, you should do it because they obviously believe in you. And I took that challenge.
Have you
actually it was cherished the challenge because I knew I wanted to always have that chance.
Have you always been a Republican? Did you grow up as a Republican, or what's the story behind that?
Well, my parents did vote for JFK when they were younger. My first vote was for Ronald Reagan. And so I've always voted Republican pretty much.
And I understand you got a call from President Trump. What was that like?
That was unbelievable.
Well, what did he
Because
say? What
you can
transpired?
like or dislike the man, but when a president calls you, that is a great honor. No matter who you are, what, political side you sit on. When a president calls, you cannot tell me that is not a great honor.
Did he call you on your cell phone?
Yes.
What was your reaction? What was transpired during that call?
Well, I right away called my wife in to kind of be there because I knew I wanted to ask him. And that's when I asked him if I could put him on speaker and if he would say hi to my wife, because my wife loves Donald Trump. So, she's got to say hi to him. It was really, I'm telling you, I'm still kind of on cloud nine about it.
Oh, I would think you would be. I mean, it's a tremendous thing to have a president of the United States recognize something that you've accomplished as being consequential. And it may sound like I'm minimalizing the whole thing, but I mean, you say that you're surprised at this national reaction. I think it really is refreshing for most of us anyway, those of us who can step out of our partisanship for a second, to have confidence that, this is still the kind of place where this place being America, where a average Joe can step up and beat an incredibly powerful guy. And when I say average, obviously you have extraordinary talents. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to pull that off. You're not going to say that about yourself, but I can say that about you. But you didn't have a big backer behind you. You didn't have a lot of money. You didn't have some big media outfit pushing you. And I think that gives people a lot of hope. It really does. I think that's what your story is about. Yes, you've got a lot of supporters that are happy that you're heading to Trenton, but I think people just want to believe that democracy still works. And in this case, it did. But now the hard part comes. Now you're going to have to prove yourself. And there's clearly a lot of people saying some not very nice things about you, and some of them are the familiar suspects. I was perusing some of your clippings before I came on, and the Inquirer is going at you, which the Inquirer hasn't been a Republican they liked in a long time. They're complaining about the sufficiency of your apology for some of your social media posts. We'll come back to that. The Atlantic, not to be outdone for elitism, was heavily suggesting that you don't know how to govern, and that maybe it'd be a better idea to have people that know what they're doing in office. So that was cute.
Just to jump on that one.
Yeah. I'll send you that one, by the way.
Does New Jersey government seem like it knows what it's doing?
That's right. That's right.
How much worse could I make it?
That's right.
To anybody that's been to motor vehicle or tried to go to motor vehicle, knows that they don't seem to know what they're doing. And that's just one example of one of the things they got wrong. And by the way, the fact that we're still counting votes a week later is another perfect example. And I read an article today that the legislature passed this bill with these new vote provisions and these new ways of voting and the new vote counting method and the new vote tabulating method with the computer tablets and so forth, and only gave the county clerks in the state 5 months to implement the whole system. And the county clerks warned them. They told them, this is going to be a mess. We don't know that we can do it. And the legislature didn't care. And guess what? It did turn out to be a mess. It did turn out to be a mess. And the whole country's looking at us that it's more than a week, and we still don't know what the actual vote count is. I don't know. I'm sorry, Matt. I had to get that in there.
No, I understand. The whole thing is maddening. I mean, candidly, I would trust Raymore and Flanagan to get ballots around better than I would the state of New Jersey.
Well, I bought their mattress from them, my mattress from them, and it's fabulous.
Right. Point is, though, you've got a lot of people saying a lot of nasty things about Ed, and not to be outdone, the governor of New Jersey, who we like to remind people around here is responsible for at least 8,000 deaths at nursing homes, probably more, has called you dangerous. Did that make you smile? Did that make you shrug? How did you react to that? when you
I
heard it?
just found it kind of funny I'm sure you've read my release. I did find it funny that he refers to me as dangerous, and as you pointed out, the nursing home death. Well,
Yeah.
it's not just the nursing home deaths, and that is something that we still do not have an answer for. We've never even gotten the question of it. There has never been an investigation one way or the other. So we have no idea what took place other than what we've been told a few things, and he has never apologized for it. But you have the 1/3 of small businesses that have closed. You have the kids in mess. You have the people told they can't go to church. I mean, these are the things these are actions. I'm dangerous because I wrote something in the heat of the moment, but he's made actions that's actually harmed people. And he calls me dangerous, but he is right. I am going to be dangerous, Matt. I'm going to be dangerous to him. I'm going to be dangerous to his agenda because I will fight him at every turn. Because that's what the people are telling me they want me to do. They want me to fight Governor Murphy at every turn and turn this state around.
Yeah, I don't think Tuesday's result was very ambiguous in that respect, certainly not in your district. And I know my theory, and I don't think you disagree with it. Part of the reason Steve Sweeney lost, he was given a lot of leeway over the years because of this myth that he was a moderate. He was somehow the guy that was looking out for South Jersey and keeping the North Jersey liberals from going too far off the ideological cliff. Well, we found out during COVID that truly was a myth that was designed to keep Sweeney in office. He rubber stamped every damn thing that Governor Murphy did. And as you say very correctly, I mean, people literally died in some respects because of those lockdown measures and those nursing home decisions. And a lot of people, including in your district, lost their livelihoods. There's a lot of businesses. I know I drive down some of the downtowns in my part of South Jersey, and there's still vacant stores that went vacant over a year ago, and they still haven't been filled.
But it wasn't just the businesses and the stores and all. Just like when he went and did his rent moratorium, he's thinking it's like these big fat cat landlords when it's actually mom and dad having a supplement income to take care of their Social Security. They're renting out a second home on their property, and he's telling them, "Nah, you can't collect the rent," but they still have a mortgage. They still have food to put on their table, and who's going to make them whole? These people are suffering.
No, that's absolutely true. I mean, most people that are landlords aren't these giant corporations that own multiple buildings. It's, as you say, it's this couple in their 60s, 70s, 80s bought a duplex 30 years ago with a bonus that one of them got, or because they saved some of their money, and it's part of their retirement. And right now they're in real danger, and Phil Murphy just doesn't give a damn. But Dan, it's refreshing to hear a Republican talk like this in New Jersey, isn't it? This whole notion that, it's not that we hate anybody. It's not that we hate Democrats, but as long as Phil Murphy continues to act against the interests of the people of this state, we're going to go at him with everything we got. That's what we need to hear.
It's refreshing to hear a Republican. We shouldn't have to use the word refreshing, but to hear a Republican.
We're in need of refreshment around here, Dan. You know it, and I know.
Okay.
Desperately.
To talk, it's wonderful to hear a Republican talk about working people, about ordinary, common, everyday people, like the kind of people that he grew up with in Gloucester City. It's wonderful to hear a Republican talk about those people. And I got to tell you, I give a lot of credit for this, say what you will about him, to President Trump, because he made the values and the standards and the meaning of the Republican Party relevant to ordinary, everyday working people. He made that link. Now, I think it was funny, Ed, that in a thing I read today in Politico, they asked George Norcross about your stunning upset victory, which he called a tsunami, by the way. He called it a tsunami. And in this interview, George Norcross, or at one point, which was mentioned in the interview, identified himself as a Reagan Democrat. You know what they call Reagan Democrats? What do they call Reagan Democrats? as of now, Ed, they call them Republicans. Okay.
I mean,
They call them Ed Durr Republicans.
I just think labels are a funny thing. You can say what you want about each person, but the true thing is, I'm just a people person. I love interaction with people. I love talking to people, and I do think it was actually an advantage to not get a lot of money and actually have to go door to door, because it allowed me to interact with the people and find the truth out. What is the real problems of South Jersey?
Was there a moment during the campaign when you sensed that you were getting through to people and you were
when I knocked on this one door when I was out with council candidates Wanda Tranquillo and Brian Nastasi, and they said, "Don't bother. That's a lifelong Democrat." I said, "It's a vote." So I knocked on the door and I spent 5 minutes, and at the end of the 5 minutes, he says, "I'll look you over. You might get it." And he was a lifelong Democrat. It only took 5 minutes.
And see, this is why you said it a minute ago that maybe it was a good thing you didn't get all this money. I agree with you, because I think to some degree, when you get all the money, along with it comes this institutionalized GOP wisdom that isn't always so wise, because we've been running things relatively the same way for a long time, nobly marching up the hill and nobly getting thrown down the hill. You were able to do it your way. You don't owe anybody anything.
That's true. And hopefully, that I will do a very good job, and I will convince the people, that they made the right choice, because I plan on, as I've said many times, I have always been said that I have a big mouth and I don't shut up, and I plan on using that to the advantage of the people. Plan on being that thorn in the side of Governor Murphy, should he retain his election. As far as I know, it's still open, but
to be determined.
Yeah.
So you say you have a big mouth, and I say this as someone who also has been known to have a little bit of a big mouth, and I know Dan's in the Big Mouth Club. One thing we all share in common, the three of us, is we wear our hearts on our sleeves. And sometimes you say something out of anger you don't believe. In your case, unlike Dan and I, we've never been elected to the state Senate. So the media did what it always does when a Republican is successful and looks like they're on the verge of stardom. And they immediately began combing through your Twitter account. And they found some things which I think that you now, look at it, you acknowledge that they were not the right thing to say.
They were clearly hurtful, and I apologize for, because I'm not a hurtful person. I don't have a really mean bone in my body. I like I said, I'm a people person. I like to engage and talk. You ask any one of my friends, and he'll talk to anybody at any time, anywhere. It doesn't matter who it is, about anything. Because at one, I always had a thirst for learning things. So if you have a story or can tell me something about yourself, I listen. I love learning. So, you do things in the spur of the moment, and that's just who I am. Sometimes I react to certain things. I think my county chair said it best. I was kind of a keyboard warrior a little bit in a bubble.
Yeah, ultimately, you've now apologized for the stuff that you've written. You're moving forward. Ultimately, do you think that, and I think you mentioned this a little bit earlier when we talked about Phil Murphy's records and the way that he's actually hurt people. It's not just his words, it's his actions which have actually hurt people. Do you think that ultimately we need to change the way we look at people, particularly in the things they say, and apply less weight to it, and judge them more by their actions? Or do you think that, the scrutiny you've gotten has been fair? Do you think it's something that if you're going to be an elected official, the things you say should get scrutinized, and if you say something that's stupid or wrong or inadvisable, you have to apologize?
Well, I think that is for the voters to decide themselves what is important to them. I can't, tell somebody what they should find more important than something else. I can only be who I am and say what I can say is that I'm not a mean person. So I've apologized for it, and I think this is the media just trying to change the narrative. They're trying to change the focus of what this is actually about. This is about the people. The people wanted to have their voice heard, and they made it heard. They're trying to make it more about the media is trying to make it more about me so they can silence the people's voice.
Well, and then to me is the interesting thing about it, because I mean, I read what you tweeted, and I mean, I hate when somebody says I didn't agree with someone, because isn't it kind of obvious we don't agree on everything? I mean, it's impossible to find somebody you agree with.
I don't agree with my
time.
wife 90 times.
Hey, listen, you're talking to a divorce lawyer, right? So I get what you're saying, but you're right. I mean, that's the point. So yeah, I mean, I read your tweets and I was like, ooh, Ed, like, what the hell are you doing here? By the same token, you're not somebody who really strikes me as someone that has animus for anyone. And beyond that, you would think that if you were a journalist, after somebody gets elected and defeats a state Senate president, a very powerful political figure, there'd be at least an equal amount of interest in what you believe. Like, I'll be candid with you. One of the first things I thought when you won is I said, listen, I kind of casually know Ed. We've communicated before. I don't know all of his positions on everything. Where does he stand on Murphy's mandates? I can surmise something because I know he's a Republican and he's running against Steve Sweeney. Where does he stand on, the budget? Where does he stand on the Second Amendment? There just really isn't any attention given to those substantive issues. So you can't help but feel, even though I believe that you made the right decision by apologizing, you should have. I mean, goodness gracious, like, they don't even care about actual substantive issues anymore, do they?
No, I think they just, I think it's the shark attack. They smell blood in the water and they think they are going to be able to just keep nipping away until they can tear me down, because they can't face the fact that the people spoke and they want it changed. That's what it's about. And they keep trying to make it about me when it wasn't about me. And they're just trying to find a way to silence the voice of the people. I don't know where they're going to go with it any further. I'm prepared to move forward. And as far as my stance goes, pretty much I'm an open book. If you read my webpage, I am a Second Amendment supporter. I do think the mandates and the lockdowns, the masking of children in school is wrong.
Right.
I do think the forcing people to have a vaccination, I'm not telling you whether it's right or wrong, the vaccination. Everybody has to make that medical decision. That's a medical decision. Remember that. That's your medical decision that you decide between you and your doctor, and nobody else should decide it. Not Governor Murphy, not Steve Sweeney, nobody but you and your doctor. Maybe not even your doctor if that's the way you want to be about it. But it's your body, your choice. Remember that phrase?
Yeah, it's convenient how they apply it only when they want to. And I know Dan and I talk about this all the time with the mandates. It doesn't ever seem to me that there's ever any effort on the part of the left to actually persuade anybody of their position. They always have to mandate it, which probably tells you something, that they think that their positions are inherently weak, that they don't think they can persuade you. They have to impose it. But I'm sure you agree with me, Ed, that part of what elected officials should do is obviously lead. And leading isn't just telling people what to do. It's explaining why you think they should do something. For example, taking a vaccine to prevent a school kid from getting measles, something that maybe is a good idea. Whether or not you should be shoving it down somebody's throat, it's a different decision.
Well, actuality, I don't like that term leaders. I've never liked that term, our elected leaders, because they're our elected representatives. They are there to follow the will of the people. They can be the voice, but they are not leading us down a path. They are supposed to speak our voice for us.
Right.
If you have a complaint, you make it heard to the elected official, and that's where they forgot. They think they're in charge of the people when they're actually the employees of the people.
So are you saying, do you think that maybe that's what happened to Sweeney, that he became so empowered? I mean, because he sort of had a reputation as really taking care of his people and being close to the people in his district. But what happened, Ed?
As I keep calling it, the perfect storm. And on a bad side, but it was the perfect storm. You had the pandemic, you had Governor Murphy take control and reign as a king. You had Steve Sweeney and Craig Coughlin do nothing. They acquiesced their duties. They just went and did nothing. You actually had Senator Sweeney tweeting about a hamburger stand up in North Jersey. At the very least, if you're going to tweet about a hamburger stand, do it in your own district. But when you choose not to do your job, the people are going to say, enough's enough. We'll take your job from you.
Yeah, and I mean, I also think, not to beat this dead horse, but yes, like the Twitter comments are one thing. It's an issue if you want it to be an issue. Clearly, I think it was important for you to address it. But it's a common thread with the left in 2021 that they don't have anything else. The only issue they have is to find something somebody said stupid a year ago, 2 years ago, whatever the heck the case might be, and they just harp on it and they draw conclusions about your character, which depending upon the situation may or may not be fair. And we completely get distracted from the substance that we should really be primarily focusing on. And I think that that's really what happened to Sweeney to some degree. I think that for as much as Steve did the man of the people thing when he was in the district, day after day, he went to Trenton and he did pretty much whatever Phil Murphy wanted him to do over the course of the past 2 years. And Phil Murphy is a guy who, as much as he talks the woke language, what community in this state has Phil Murphy actually made more prosperous, safer, more free over the course of his 4 years in office? I can't name a single damn one. They always say when you're running for re-election, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Can anybody in New Jersey say that? You certainly can't say it in the third.
Well, they're not in New Jersey anymore. They left.
Yeah.
See, that's the issue.
Yeah.
We keep losing residents because it isn't getting better. It is getting worse. And you went and said it clearly. They distract. That is exactly what the Democrats do. They distract because they don't have a record to stand on, so they distract the voter. Look at this shiny thing over here. Don't worry about that over there because let's focus on this. And that's what the people stopped focusing on. They're waving that little shiny light and started focusing on their own lives and said, wait a minute, you're making my life worse. It's time for you to go.
But Ed, you do understand, Ed, you do understand this, don't you? That when you go to Trenton, and you're going to go to Trenton quite soon, the powers that be there, the leaders in both parties, the entrenched ones in both parties that have been there for a long time, the media that are in total complicity with the liberal Democrats, and the high-paid consultants and the lobbyists and all the rest, they're going to try to change you. They're going to try to put you in a mold that makes you like everybody else because you are a threat to them and you have to be changed. You do understand what's going to happen, don't you?
I understand there's going to be a target on my back. That doesn't bother me. I can stand up and defend myself, and I'll be fine. I don't want that target touching my family. That's when we'll have an issue. But they're not going to change me. I have good people around me. My family will keep me very well grounded, and I was raised right. I had a wonderful mother and father, so There's
Where did your interest in politics come from? How did that get started?
well, I always kind of leaned conservative, mainly come from my mom. And then, as I said before, I never really was a political kind of guy. I was just living my life, enjoying things. And I just saw the constant problems. And as a truck driver, I kept thinking, well, maybe I'm just going to move out of the state because I could get a job at pretty much anywhere. But then I was like, why should I leave the state, that I love, and then my family's here? Why not just step up and do something? So I decided that.
Yeah, I mean, see, the thing that I think is interesting about this whole thing is for you, it seems like it was such a simple thought process. I want to stay here and I don't like what's going on here. Therefore, if someone's asking me to run, maybe I should. It really is that simple for you, isn't it? There was a problem.
For me, it was.
The
For me, it
opportunity
was
presented itself. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't, I didn't go through all, as you know, I have no political career, so I didn't go through council and all that stuff. And so I just said, I want to stay. And if there's a way I can help, I was happy to step into the role and run against the Senate president because I knew that I was going to work hard and I knew it was going to take a lot of effort. But the one thing is, had a great team around me, had a lot of great volunteers to step up, so it wasn't a one-man show by any means. I know everybody makes a big deal about me. It still isn't about me. It's still about the people's voice. And I want people to understand that.
How many doors would you say you hit?
What's that?
How many doors would you say that you and your team hit?
I don't know. It was thousands and thousands. I know it was well over 10,000 doors. Well over 10,000.
And when you consider right now that you're up by about, what is it, like 2,200, 2,300 votes or something?
Yeah, I think it's somewhere in that number.
Could have been the difference right there.
People question me. They question me. Why am I going to this town? Because I actually walked in West Deptford multiple times.
Which, for those who don't know, that's Steve Sweeney's town.
That's Steve Sweeney's home base. That's his haven. That's his big. And I said, I'm going to change it. I was told I won 10 districts in West Deptford. I don't know. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but this is what I was told. So evidently, if that's true.
I'm not surprised by that because West Deptford was always independent of Sweeney. It was always kind of a swingy town. It was under Republican control, it was under Democrat control. It's going back and forth. His neighbors finally got tired of his routine.
They were willing to take a shot.
And Matt,
I hope to prove them right.
Matt, Matt Rooney is more versed in this kind of stuff, Matt, that this guy.
Or at least I pretend to be, whatever it is. You got to fake it till you can make it.
This guy, Matt Rooney, he talks to everybody. He's a tremendous font of knowledge. He talks to everybody. He's got connections and tentacles everywhere.
This is why I keep him around, Ed. He's good for my ego.
Matt, that Ed, am I correct here, did not have any slick consultants. He didn't have any consultants really at all, political consultants. None of those people that none of those influential consulting people that Republican candidates go to right away when they want to run. Like if you're going to run, this is the guy you got to see. This is the guy you got to talk to before you do anything else. He had none of these people, right, Ed, Matt?
Well, what I had in political was I had Jackie Vigilante, Gloucester County Chair. I had Steve Cush, the political director, that I could call on because these are not only in their position, but they are friends. I have a friend in Cumberland County Commissioner Doug Albrecht. And then I have you might recognize the name Joe Kondo, former freeholder.
Oh, yes, Joe is a
Joe
wonderful.
Kondo and I are friends.
Around for a number of years, yeah.
Joe was
Former
a strong
County
supporter
freeholder
of mine, and he gave me great advice. And he told me what he thought I should do, and we bounced things off each other. So I did have maybe not the $1 million consultant, but I did have people who had knowledge in the process. I didn't go in there with a book. I went in there with good people who told me what they thought I was doing wrong, what I was doing right.
These are kind of grassroots people, Matt. They're not slick operators. They're not the kind of people you see walking the halls of Trenton, right?
Well, I mean, look, if he's listening tonight, Steve Cush, who I've known for a number of years, he is many things, many of them positive. I don't know if I'd ever call you slick, Steve.
Right.
I don't know if I call you slick. Very knowledgeable about politics. I don't know if I call him slick. But I mean, look, I mean, I think that's not what people are in the market for right now, right? I mean, they're not in the market for a well-packaged, shiny penny product, right? People want authenticity, I think. And look, this isn't anything that's even unique to this cycle. Let's look at it real quick. Why did Chris Christie win in 2009? There was this idea that he was authentic. I cannot tell you how many times I was arguing with somebody in my county, in Camden County, trying to get him to vote for Chris Christie in 2009, and they would say something to the effect of, well, I don't agree with him on this, that, or the other, but when he says something, you know he believes it. He's telling you the truth. Trump, 2016, same thing. There was this idea that, I don't agree with him on everything. I don't like everything he says. I may even think he's a little bit nutty from time to time, but he's an authentic creature in a world full of career politicians. This is really, I think, a similar effect. And I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but Ed said earlier maybe he was lucky to not have a ton of money. I think maybe that's true, because it would have destroyed, or could have destroyed, his product, which is him. But here's one of my questions I have for you going forward, Ed, because even though first and foremost you're serving the people of the 3rd legislative district, like it or not, you are now not just a statewide figure, but in some ways you're going to be a national figure. And people are looking at you for guidance. And heading into 2022, this midterm cycle, a big part of the battle for the future of the country, and in particular Congress, is going to be for the suburbs. And the media is going to continue to do what they're doing to you right now, trying to turn guys like you into boogeymen, to try to scare skittish suburbanites away from supporting the Republican Party. So let's use a scenario that's a little on the nose. Let's say you are a 38-year-old mother of 2 Muslim living in, let's say, Evesham, and you're going to vote in the 2022 election. And Ed Durr has a chance to tell her why he thinks he should vote Republican in 2022. I mean, what are some of the things that you would tell her?
Well, you just said it. She's a mother of 2. It's family. It's about family. It's this whole election has been about family. It's been about rights, your freedoms. Governor Murphy took all your rights away from you. You couldn't choose and do anything. And the one thing you do not mess with, Matt, family. And that's the key.
Well, and this is part of the Youngkin model.
It doesn't matter if it's a mother of 2 who's Muslim, or if she's Christian, or if she's Catholic, or if she's Jewish. It doesn't matter. She's a mother, and it's her children, and she's going to love them, and she's going to protect them, and she's going to fight for them. So whatever somebody does to harm her child, she's going to fight against. And that was Governor Murphy is harming all the parents' children. So they're going to fight against him.
And this is kind of the Youngkin model, right, Dan? I mean, this whole notion that there are many important issues out there, but fundamentally, government should not be coming between a parent and their child. And that's something that got people from all over the political spectrum to vote Republican this time around. And I'm guessing, Ed, when you went door to door in your district this cycle, you heard a lot about children in particular, and probably critical race theory and some of this other nuttiness that's circulating through our school districts, and how upset people and concerned they were about it.
Well, it all depends on who answered the door. If it's an elderly couple, of course they're concerned about losing their home to property taxes.
Sure.
But if it's a mother standing there with a young child, she's concerned about her kid in school. It was always about finding which was their main issue, because, well, you heard the phrase that's been played to death. If taxes are your one issue, well, there is more than one issue. but it always came back to the one issue that I say is the one issue: family. And you just don't mess with people's family. And it didn't matter if it was money wise centric or freedom or rights or raising your kids or going to school. If it had to do with your family, it was very important to you. And that was your issue.
It sort of comes down to the right to live your life as you wish, without undue burden or intrusion. And I think that Youngkin, the kind of campaign he ran, sort of captured that and zeroed in on that with a laser-like focus in Virginia, which in fairness is a redder state than New Jersey. And one of the factors I think you have to consider here.
But keep in mind though, and I know you and I have been talking about this, it's still pretty blue though.
Yeah, but
Well, the
Virginia,
big city areas like Alexandria, Tyson,
The Beltway.
Yeah.
the Beltway, but you have to keep in mind too that another factor here is that Virginia has a very, very large military population and veteran military. In other words, retired military population. Okay, a lot of veterans and a lot of military, active military, and that is a factor that tends to push it a little bit more in the red direction. See, so that was a factor too between Virginia and New Jersey, and I think it was something that was missed by a lot of the media.
See, I don't know though if I entirely agree with you, and I know you and I have debated this, and I'm curious to see what he thinks. But you know, I really think the bigger difference is that Republicans in New Jersey have traditionally been less willing to embrace these kind of culture war topics, for lack of a better way to describe it. And you know, I don't know, Ed, if you've seen the same thing now that you're mixing with some of your colleagues. Republicans in Virginia have no problem pointing out the obvious. Case in point, it's incredibly screwed up to have a system where we're teaching some kids in school that they are inherently racist because of their skin color. That's a sad, sick thing to do to all children. And they say it very directly. And up here, we're always kind of afraid to say things directly. There's so much passive aggressive campaigning from Republicans in New Jersey. I personally think that's part of the reason why we've had more trouble than some of our friends in other states.
Well, I think that was more your, and I keep trying to point this out because people refer to me as a politician, and I think that's more your politician type. I'm not a politician. I'm a guy who just ran for office. And that's the difference, I think. And, you know,
is the primary difference that you don't intend to make it a career, so it's not your mindset? Is that how you draw the distinction between somebody that's running for office and somebody that's a politician?
I'm 58 years old, so I'm certainly not going to be here 30 years.
Hey, how old was Jerry Cardinale before he passed away, Dan?
It was in his 80s.
So never say never, although I appreciate the idea that, you know, you shouldn't be there forever. But
I think I would like to get in there and get things done, but I would like to hand it off to somebody else to continue that process and keep building that bench of conservatism in New Jersey, in Gloucester County, that will just keep the faith, so to speak, that we can keep moving forward and keep making New Jersey better.
Now you're going to be in the minority, but you're in an energized minority now.
For now.
Which I like that you say that too, because the whole notion that we should just accept that we're going to be a minority forever. I mean, at that point, what is the point of going to Trenton? But, you know, what are a few issues that you plan on emphasizing when you get to Trenton in January? You're obviously already going to be involved in meetings and discussions, and it's not as if, you know, you're going to do nothing between now and January. But when you arrive, what are some things that you want to focus on and try to advocate for?
Well, the obvious, you know, I want to make it more affordable. That's the obvious. Clearly, the taxes are a problem. The spending, the debt that we incur in New Jersey is ridiculous. Those are the obvious that need to be addressed and tackled. The one that has broadened my horizon through getting to know people politically, as I mentioned earlier, Nick DeSilvio ran for county commissioner and won here in Gloucester County.
Mhm.
Well, a topic that's very important to me is special needs. As you know, with the lockdowns with Governor Murphy, during the lockdowns, many of the special needs children were aged out. You don't understand what that age out means, right? Where they would no longer get schooling because they closed the schools and they couldn't get it and they were too old to go back. So they lost that process. And that is very important that it doesn't happen again. So that has definitely became a new passion of mine.
No, it's a hugely important issue. And to your point again, I mean, government's not, there's a few things we all agree government should do. And one is, we want kids to be able to get an education. It's so hypocritical for the left to talk about how Republicans don't care about people, but then not protect and help and enable those that are the most vulnerable among us. And if that's not children with special needs, I don't know who is. When it comes to affordability, we talk a lot about the school funding formula. We talk a lot about the spending, and certainly Murphy's been guilty of a lot of borrowing. Are there some particular aspects of the affordability problem that you want to tackle? Like, for example, do you have a strong opinion about what a better funding formula might look like? Chris Christie, at the end of his tenure in office, talked about having a set dollar amount for every child. We've heard about 30 plans from 100 different people since then.
Well, I mean, there's multiple plans, and excuse me, I do think that spending $35,000 on a child up north and $5,000 on a child down south isn't exactly fair. I think there's got to be an equation somewhere that works better. The affordability of making New Jersey more affordable, we're losing businesses. Let's stop being the worst business environment in the country. Make us more friendly, business friendly. Bring businesses here, which brings jobs here, which brings people here, which brings tax revenue here. It's all one big circle there. And I guess for some reason, the Democrats can't figure that part out. If you have more businesses here, you have more jobs here, which means you have more people working, which you have more people paying into revenue. I think it's a pretty simple plan.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, if you want to have a state that works, you need to create the conditions where people can work and put other people to work. And that really seems to be the secret sauce that's missing. But again, that's the left, right? I mean, whether it's your children or whether it's how the private sector works, they want to have their hands in everything, and they never seem to make anything better. You mentioned the Second Amendment too. This is another issue Republicans in this state have not been pretty aggressive on in recent years in terms of pushing back against the left's regulations. The outgoing minority leader in the state assembly, John Bramnick, actually had an F from the NRA. But I've always thought it was a damn shame because, and I continue to meet people that fall into this category. Those who live in cities, even a lot of Black and brown New Jerseyans that live in cities who believe in the Second Amendment, not because they, want to go kill and dress deer, not that there's anything wrong with that, but because they want to protect their families. So I feel as if there's this groundswell of support for the Second Amendment out there that everyone's just not willing to address for whatever reason, probably just because guns have traditionally for the left have just been so easy to demonize and use as a political cudgel. So, I mean, is that an issue you think that Republicans should push to the forefront of their agenda? And if so, what are your thoughts?
Well, I believe that, me personally, yes, I'm a Second Amendment supporter. I think if you truly are a conservative and a believer in the Constitution, you have to stand up for that. So yes, I do believe there should be more support for it, because it's not about shooting a deer and taking it home and having some venison for the night. It's about self-protection, protecting your family. We are told that we can't protect our families now. The thing is, they can make all the laws they want. It will never stop the criminal, because criminals do not follow laws, hence the word criminal. So I don't understand where their thinking is. Tell me, because it's very funny, because it is an elitist circumstance. New Jersey still lists that they have a concealed carry, but is near non-existent because only people with money and clout get the carry permits.
Well, yeah, the whole May issue regime makes it so that it's nearly impossible to be able to protect yourself if you need to be able to protect it. And we've seen some horrible examples of domestic violence victims in recent years. There was one young lady that was trying to get a permit, couldn't, it was too late. So it's absolutely horrible. And those are the kinds of folks that I think the Republicans need to do a better job of highlighting to humanize this issue. Something a little bit on a different note, but it's a hot issue, and it was a big issue in 2020 in New Jersey. Legalized marijuana, it's happening. But there's a lot of people on both sides of that issue, both pro and con, who are not happy with how it's being rolled out in New Jersey. Do you have any thoughts about legalized recreational marijuana?
Well, I think it's a bit of a hypocrisy. I don't think the government should be involved in it at all. I mean,
and by not being involved in it, do you think that I should be
they're trying to make a dollar for what, 30, 40, 50 years? They've been telling you drugs are bad. And now because they can make a dollar off it, all of a sudden drugs are good. So there's somewhat of a hypocrisy, isn't there?
Yeah, Nancy Reagan could see us now, right? But it is an interesting point. So but in theory, I just want to know where you stand on this, because this is a very libertarian.
I'm not a supporter of using marijuana, but I'm not going to tell you, what you can do, because I believe in people's rights.
Yeah.
But I do think that the government being involved is the wrong choice.
No, I do sympathize with that opinion, because I've never been a fan of pot. Not because I'm, like a Reefer Madness subscriber, but I don't get it. At the same time, while necessarily we don't want people having like commercial fields, just randomly in their backyard. I mean, if you're going to legalize it, why the hell couldn't I have marijuana plants in my closet? But for the fact that government, Trent in this case, wants to make some money off of what I'm doing.
Absolutely. Government's always about that buck. Always got to get that dollar out of you.
So Ed, are you like just in favor of legalizing drugs generally? Like
no. I don't want. I don't want nothing to do with drugs personally. I'm not a drug person, so I don't want nothing to do with it. I'm in favor of the Constitution, following the Constitution, following people's freedoms, their rights. That's what I'm in favor of. I'm not in favor of the government making a dollar off of something that they told people for 50 years, stay away from. And now because they can make money off of, they were, all right, let's put it in this town, let's put it in that town. I think the people have to choose for themselves which is best for them. And that's where their rights come in.
Yeah, you can't argue with the logic there.
Did you and Sweeney have a debate? Was there a debate?
No. What that was during the campaign, as it was, I was in West Deptford at the time, and one of my campaign volunteers, Maureen McCabe, she lives in Woodbury Heights, and she got a call and was told that Sweeney was doing a photo op with the mayor of Woodbury Heights. And so I decided, hey, we need to go over there and kind of see if we can talk to him. And so I went over and I just flat out asked him. I says, one, I pointed out that I thought his smear tactics were childish, that we should talk about the topics at hand. And then I said, why don't you give the people a debate? And he laughed at me and drove away.
So I mean, like
I bet he wishes he debated you now.
So there was no, like, the League of Women Voters or whatever didn't try to arrange a debate?
No, nobody called me for a debate. I let it be known that I'm willing to debate. Said it many times. Actually, I said it on your Twitter feed.
Right. And there was just like no response. Now, let me ask you this too, because maybe I didn't pay as much attention to this race as I should have. I plead guilty.
Nobody did. You're not the only one. They all thought it was over.
I mean, let's be clear about this too. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I had a crystal ball. I thought Republicans had a chance to pick up seats. A lot of people didn't. this cycle. But everyone would tell you, like, yeah, and even some Democrats that, yeah, LD3, a district that voted for Trump twice. This is a district that eventually Steve Sweeney's not going to be able to hold on to. Part of the reason he probably wanted to run for governor in 2025 to get the hell out, because he knew his days were numbered. Nobody thought it was going to be this year. The Democrats that I know who are willing to talk to me were all like, yeah, maybe 2023 when there's not a gubernatorial race, maybe in 2025 with, there's a Democrat president and a Republican candidate running for governor. Nobody thought it was going to be this year. So anybody who says they knew that Ed was going to happen is a liar. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Except Ed Durr.
Except Ed Durr. That's exactly right.
But I know that the Norcross organization, if you will, ran in several districts, ran negative ads against the people that were opposing. Did they run negative ads, TV ads against you?
Yes, they ran very negative ads against myself, against Beth Ann McCarthy Patrick, and against Beth Sawyer. They spent what I was told nearly $2 million against us. They ran commercials. My son would call me up, Dad, you're on Monday Night Football. And it's a negative ad. And then he telling me, oh, Dad, you're being attacked on Facebook on an ad.
$2 million versus, 7, 8, 9,000.
And so you just kept knocking on doors and talking to people.
They were running ads. I was talking to people. That's exactly what the difference was. And I knew the truth and how people felt.
What's your message?
What do you do most times when commercials come on TV? Get up and get something to drink or get something to eat.
It's a fair point. I think that these commercials in 2021 are having a diminishing return for politicians. I really do. I think the digital ads actually have a little bit more impact because you're more likely, when, let's say you're watching a YouTube video, you're more likely to be focused on your screen than if you are, as Ed says, sitting there in the living room with your kids watching football, maybe getting up to change the laundry or pop your popcorn. It's divided attention. So it just didn't work as well as maybe it did in years past. But there are people that are going to be looking to you. And I know that the thought you find amusing, and that's one of the things that I like about you, that you find the whole thing amusing. They're going to be looking at you as an example for 2022 for maybe how they can win, not just in New Jersey, but in distant states against incredible odds, against other powerful Democrats. If you had, 60 seconds with one of these prospective Republican candidates, what are some of the pointers that you would give them for how you can try to pull something like this off? And don't tell me again, Ed, while I can still call you Ed before you're a senator, that it was just a wave, because obviously you did something right.
Well, you said it earlier. Authenticity. Just be authentic. Be yourself. Be genuine. Don't be a fake, because people can tell a fake. They can read. People are bright. They understand. They can see, and they'll know when you're lying to them. Just be honest and listen. I know you were a supporter of Jack, and that's the one thing I liked about Jack was he was a great listener. He listened.
He did. And I gotta say, the other thing I really respect about Jack Cirucci is that the guy cared about Republicans winning down ballot.
I guarantee you, he had a lot of effect on me.
Yeah, I mean, he really gave a damn. So that's always been my opinion. We throw the word rhino around a lot, and there were certainly positions that Jack had that I did not agree with. But ultimately, to me, how I decide whether or not I think somebody's a good Republican is how devoted you are to the cause of defeating leftists at the polls. To me, that's the primary criteria that I judge you by. That's Matt Rudy's litmus test. I'm just one guy, but that's how I choose to look at it.
And Jack worked very, very hard, and I saw it, and I watched it, and I saw it up close. Every town and borough and township and district that he came into, he pushed the whole ticket. He pushed the people down ballot. He mentioned them He campaigned for them. And I think one of the great, it will be one of the great heartaches of my political life, and be one of the great heartaches of this election if many of those people won and Jack perishes. What a terrible, terrible heartache. You agree, Ed?
Well, like I said, I not only was I a Jack supporter, but I consider Jack and I as friends. I've known him for about 3 years. And I joked around with people because I'm a truck driver. I've been driving 25 years. I got over 2 million miles under my, so, and I joked around and I said, I think Jack's done that in the last 8 months, going up and down New Jersey. I mean, the man worked tirelessly, hard. He supported every individual. He worked for every candidate. He stepped up and he would mention them every chance he got. He was not selfish. He was ultimately for the team. He was a team player and he worked for the team. And I agree. It is a heartache that we are still undecided, but it not looking good. I'll admit that. But you know, Jack deserved the win, and he would have been he will be a great governor. I'm going to say will be, because I still think Jack is a great guy.
You think about all those miles you put on your car, and knowing that you're a guy that's been interested in politics for a while, you probably listen to a lot of conservative talk radio. Maybe not. Maybe you like music or something else. But did you listen to a lot of conservative talk when you're driving around?
Yeah, you're friends with Bill, so I listen to Bill in the morning. That's one of my first. Yeah. I'll flip between him and Rich Zioli. You met Rich Zioli, I'm sure. You know.
Oh yeah, no, I'm a fan of both those guys. Don't bring up Spadia right now to Dan though, because he's a little bit.
I know.
With my friend Bill.
Oh, don't worry. I got in arguments with Bill many times too about his opinion.
Well, that's one of the things I like about our side. And you talk about authenticity. And this is something I think maybe not a lot of people realize until you're kind of like in this. You and I have debated a couple times on Twitter. I disagree with Bill oftentimes. Well, I shouldn't say oftentimes. Sometimes very publicly. You know, you put stuff on Twitter that, again, not to beat a dead horse, I thought was stupid. I told you. You apologized independently and said that you're sorry you said it. I mean, my point that I'm making is that our side is very open with one another. It's not an echo chamber like some people think that it is.
Well, I just wanted to
go ahead.
I just wanted to address the one thing you said a little bit earlier when you mentioned the word, you know, with the rhino and that. I thought Republicans are accepting people. So if we're accepting, don't we have a large tent? Can't we all have different views and aspects, but all have a general focus? We don't all have to be the same, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're a large tent and we can have a spectrum going from left to right and have different views, but ultimately we're all heading in the same direction.
And so that's an interesting point that you raised, though, because it feeds into this larger discussion. Because I don't disagree with you, but it feeds into what they're saying about you in the media right now. So do you see in that big tent room for conservatives, moderate Republicans? Do you see room for people of different faiths? Like, for example, I mean, would you work with a Muslim Republican?
Absolutely. If his goal is to make things better for the people of New Jersey, I'm working with that person. That's my goal. Focus on the people of New Jersey and make their life better.
What is your religion, Ed, if you don't mind my asking? I mean, normally it's a personal question, but you're in elected office now, so.
Well, I'm a Christian.
You're a Christian, okay.
So, I mean, I don't think that's as important as what you need to focus on as what needs to be done for this state. And like I said, I'm here to be a representative for every person of the state. Even though I'm an LD3, I'm still an employee of the state. So that means it doesn't matter what county you're in, I'm your employee. And so you have the right to voice your opinion to me, and good or bad. If you think I'm doing something wrong, tell me. Because ultimately you're the boss.
I like your distinction between leader and representative you brought up earlier. I think it was actually a pretty fair point. In this country, we don't elect people to follow them. We elect people to work for us. And certainly sometimes when you represent someone, you have to fill a leadership role. Like, for example, if you're a president in wartime or a governor when there's a bad hurricane or something like that. But no, I mean, it's not our job to ever follow you blindly. It's your job to work for us. And every 2-4 years, whatever the interval is, we give you a performance review. And if you pass, you pass. If you don't, we send you packing. And that seems to be your philosophical approach to this whole enterprise.
Well, absolutely. Because the people are going to decide your fate one way or the other. So you need to focus on the people. I'll use a military term. Not that I ever served. This is my one way of serving my government, is by being in government. But a military term is a point man. If you're out on maneuvers and you need a point man, that's what an elected representative is. They're not so much the leader in charge of the squadron as much as they're the point man out first. Because it's still the voice of the people that tell you which way we're heading. You're to get out there first and be that one to fight the battle first.
Yeah. It's an interesting way of looking at it. And, I'm going to say it again, and I don't want anybody to misunderstand me, because sometimes we equate simple with lacking complexity, but that's not what I mean here. I mean that, it's like Reagan used to say, the solutions to our problems aren't necessarily complicated, they're hard, something to that effect, Dan, I'm paraphrasing. Your philosophy is very straightforward about a lot of this stuff. And I think that's one of the things that people are misunderstanding with you. Like, for example, clearly you have some strong opinions about religions, but generally what I'm getting from you is listen, if you care about this state and you care about the Constitution, I'll work for you and work with you. It's not how you identify is not the most important thing about you to me. Am I articulating that correctly?
I think you got that right. It's not about what I believe or don't believe one way or the other. It's about, can we all have the same focus and work together? And I'm that kind of guy. I can work with anybody, talk to anybody, and I will listen to anybody, because what you do in the privacy of your own home, what you believe, who you worship, I support your rights and your freedoms, because that's what I'm about, freedoms and rights. I've always been a firm believer in the Constitution. I believe that everybody has the right to do as they choose. And I want to be that guy that's willing to fight, because too often we get people who go in office and they don't want to fight for you.
Right. They quickly get turned around by the pin and the vanity license plate and all that nonsense.
Exactly.
Do me a favor, Ed. Don't get the damn vanity license plate unless
I'm not.
it's so tacky.
I like the plate I have. I got it actually by mistake. It has NRA on it.
Oh, I can't wait to see you park that up at the Capitol complex. Oh man, you're gonna.
Here's what Reagan said, by the way. Reagan said, "They say we offer simple answers to complex problems." Well, he said, perhaps there is a simple answer, not an easy answer, but a simple answer. Reagan.
The Gipper
made a lot of great statements.
Do you think the 2021, Ed, is the beginning of kind of New Jersey beginning to wake up? Do you feel it?
I think that was clear. I think that was absolutely clear. It was definitely a repudiation of Governor Murphy. It said that we, regardless of how the governor race turns out, there was seats won. There were council seats. There were board seats won by conservatives as a statement that we're not happy with what's been going on. And you saw it in Virginia too. And it will keep taking effect. And if there is something for some reason that somebody believes I can do to help them win in 22, I'll be there. If they're a conservative and they believe strongly in the Constitution, I'll be there to help them, because that's what I want to see our country turn to the right direction.
Yeah, and you're going to have to go work right away. And you said it. I mean, it's in New Jersey, we've got these odd year elections, so that it never really truly ends. But you, like it or not, are now going to be someone that the Republicans are going to look to in South Jersey to continue to advance the cause. There's races in Cumberland, Atlantic, Gloucester, Camden, Salem, and beyond next year. And the Camden County machine is really on the ropes now for the first time since I was a kid, Dan. I mean, they're getting pushed back to their natural borders in Camden County. You and I are still living behind machine lines here, Dan, but fewer and fewer South Jerseyans are.
Yes, we're
gluttons for punishment.
We are, I guess we're gluttons for punishment because we still live here in the kingdom, under the King George.
But I got to tell you, my mother called me the other day from 295 near the border of Camden and Gloucester and said she saw 2 trucks with "Let's Go Brandon" flags. So something's definitely cooking out there in the world. And if you need any proof, all you need to do is look at LD3, folks. And it's already 9:30, so we've been going for an hour and a half. So you're an easy guy to talk to, so we could keep going. But I know that
I try to keep telling everybody. I like to talk. I like to talk, man. I could go on hours and hours.
You do. And I mean, look, this is what I've been saying this to candidates for years. And again, being a Camden County Republican, I think I know more what not to do than what to do to win. But so much of politics, like it or not, just comes down to personality and whether you can connect with somebody. And I could see you being the kind of guy where if you knocked on my door with a pamphlet and we're like, hey, I'd like to talk to you about running for state senate, I'd probably want to have a coffee with you. We can all think about and name a number of other politicians in New Jersey you wouldn't feel that way about. So the ones that are able to pull off the big upsets, to generate the big stories that make the most waves, so much of it just comes down to personality, folks, and willingness to have a conversation. People want to, we're so tired of being lectured to, aren't we, Ed? And so much of CRT and the pushback against this nonsense, that's what it boils down to. We're tired of being told what to do, what to think, what to feel, what's appropriate, what's not. We want to talk, we the people, and we want to communicate what's on our minds. And that's what you did. You just listened to people for months.
Well, and that's what I keep trying to reiterate to everybody is it's the people. It's all about the people and their voice, and they weren't being heard. They were ignored for the last 18 months, 20 months, whatever it been. And they made a statement. They made it clear, made it loud. They made it red. So look out for 22.
Look out for 2022. It's going to be extremely interesting. And there's going to be a lot of demands on your time, but I would love to have you back, if not before. Maybe we can touch base with you. We'll talk to you hopefully before, but maybe have you back to do something in January or right before you get sworn in, because I'm sure there's a million things that are going to happen between now and then. But I have a feeling that you're going to be if not a popular guy in Trenton, you're going to be a center of attention in Trenton. I've actually even spoken to some legislators that have said to me, do you know this Ed guy, Matt? Because he's from your part of the world. And I was like, well, I've talked to Ed a few times. He seems like a nice guy, but I don't know much about him. And I wouldn't describe the reaction I'm getting as nervous. Everyone is just very expectant to see what you're all about. It's been a long time since they've had anybody come to Trenton that wasn't part of a machine, that wasn't a known entity. This guy that's coming up that isn't tied to anyone or anything.
I'll tell you the last person from South Jersey who fit this bill.
Who's
and
that?
I knew her. I knew her personally, and I remember her. Many people do not. She's no longer remembered by a lot of people. And that was State Senator Aileen Ammon from Cherry Hill.
Yes.
And I want to tell you, and when shortly after she got there, she earned the title, the Terror of Trenton. That's what they called
Well, I'm
her.
Dangerous Durr. Didn't you know that?
Pardon me?
I'm Dangerous Durr.
He's Dangerous Durr.
There you go.
He's
Dangerous
got
Durr.
he's got a great name too that you can play with. Like there's all kinds of crazy. I mentioned earlier in the program, there's all kinds of crazy memes floating around. I think my favorite
my
one
God.
is you as the Terminator.
I love that one. I love that one. Come on, that's funny.
Yeah, that's priceless. We'll share it again. Then there's one about you running for president. Every damn state is red, and it's like Durr, maximum electoral college votes, and these things are just propping up online. They're organic. People
crazy.
are just
It is
fascinated
really
with your
crazy.
story.
Dangerous Durr. Dangerous Durr. I like it.
Well, that's what we need, right? We need a little bit of danger in our lives. There needs to be. I said this to somebody the other day. Clearly, we're not talking about anybody physically concerned for their safety or anything like that. Obviously, what we're saying is that it's good that politicians are a little bit afraid concerning their political futures. It's not good that politicians feel too secure in their jobs. It's good to have a guy like Ed Durr come along on a frequent basis to remind them that no, the idea that you don't go back to Trenton or Washington on a regular basis, it should never feel automatic. You should always be a little worried that people are going to kick you to the curb.
It's called afflicting the powerful.
Yes.
And we need somebody who's going to go there and grab them by the lapels and shake them a bit.
Well, I don't want to get no assault charge on me.
No. I'm speaking figuratively, of course.
Yes, figuratively, of course.
Yes,
No,
of course.
I think the NRA.
I'm speaking figuratively. I would never actually do that.
The NRA license plate is going to trigger enough people.
Because that way, Ed, to get back to what you said, that way maybe they'll come to recognize what they're there for and who they're working for. And that is to represent the people that are paying their paychecks.
Well, I think my personality will let them know that, because I don't hold my tongue. I will remind them of that, whoever it be, that they are still an employee of the state.
To avoid getting your car keyed, you should probably park near the LD24 guys. I think that's going to be my advice. Like park or space, and actually your new Republican leader in the Senate, Senator Oroho. Those guys from LD24 can hold their own. So I think
I'll do all right myself too.
No, I think you're going to do all right yourself. But if there's 3 or 4 of you, then wow. Then you got
a major Republican office holder now, and you're going to have to drive a Lincoln. You got to drive a Lincoln now or something like that.
I have my form of wheels right now.
I think you should take the Raymore Flanagan truck personally. I think you should park it right out there on State Street in front of the State House. That'll drive the point home. If nothing else does.
I've seen that mentioned too.
Yeah, you should. I look, I mean, all kidding aside, we're messing around, but like I could not be more enthused for you coming out of this election. I think it's fantastic for the reasons I've already said, that I think it's so great to see people in Trenton and in power reminded that they work for us, not the other way around. And I think if nothing else comes out of this, you've already made a big difference and a big impact in that respect. There's a lot of uncomfortable people in the halls of power at the moment, and that's exactly how it should be.
That's a good thing, don't you think?
It's a damn good thing. So we're going to bug you in the future because, we want to talk to you as you get up there and you start this fight. And also, as you said a minute ago, you like to talk, and we do too, clearly.
You give me a forum, I'll use it.
You're welcome here. You're welcome here anytime. We're equal opportunity. As long as look, Dan and I have a simple test. This is always how we've been. If you're fighting for us, we're going to stand up for you here at Save Jersey and over at dancerucci.com.
That's what I'm ultimately about. I'm fighting for the people.
If you're not
one of the people.
We don't have to agree with everything, but as long as you're fighting for us and that's what your aim is, we're here for you. If you're going to be a lapdog and hang out at barbecues with Phil Murphy, and give us sweet words but no definitive action on behalf of the taxpayers, then we're not for you. And that's all it boils down to. We don't make any apologies for it. You don't apologize for it either. So in that respect, we are definitely on the same page. I'm just going to say, whether you like it or not, Senator-elect Edward Durr, at least as of tomorrow morning when you get the concession. It's got to be strange.
It's hard because the people I was speaking to on the phone would just be saying Ed are now calling me sir and senator, and it's weird. It's very weird. So,
it's got to be strange, but you're gonna get used to it. And after this conversation, I'm more confident than ever that I think that I think you have the ability to be the right balance. And Dan, I'm sure you're sensing this too. I mean, he's going to bring the fire and brimstone when he needs to. But I think he's going to surprise some of these folks in Trenton who now have preconceived opinions of him because they read the Atlantic or the Inquirer or the New York Times or wherever else, that they think they're getting, some caricature of a Republican boogeyman. I think they're going to find out there's more to Mr. Durr, and it's going to be disarming.
That you hit the right word, which is caricature, and that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to caricature him, turn him into a caricature. They want to make this me in a cartoon, you see. That's what they do. They try to turn you into some kind of cartoon so they can ridicule you and dismiss you and condescend to you. And that's what they specialize in. But this is not going to happen. This is not going to happen with this guy. So
like I said earlier, Dan, I know I had my mother and father were great parents. They raised me right. And without being prideful, I think I have a very good integrity about myself. And so I'm not worried what they're going to try and do because I know who I am and I know where I come from. And I have a good base and a good group of people around me to keep me that way.
Well, I know one thing that you're not. You're not smug. And most of them are. So let's get on with it.
Let's get on with it. State Senator-elect Edward Durr, we appreciate you joining us on Save Jersey Live.
Well, I appreciate you, Dan and Matt, for allowing me to have this opportunity to speak my mind and let the people get to know me a little better, not just read what they read in the newspaper.
Well, that's the power of social media, right? I mean, Save Jersey's always growing. Dan's website's always growing, getting more readers, but they can't get away with what they used to, where they can just write a few things about you and that's all people get to consume. Anyone can find this video, and I think thousands of people are going to watch this video, and they're going to walk away with a different impression that they may have right now just from what they've read or what they've heard. So
I hope that's
the goal. That's the goal.
And if they still have an issue, they're free to give me a call, and if I need to come and sit down with them, I'll talk to them. Because ultimately, as I've said, I'm here to serve the people. Doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. I'm here to serve the people and do the best we can to fix New Jersey, to make it more affordable, make it a better, safer place for all New Jerseyans. That's my goal. It's always been my goal.
Fun begins, folks. Come this January, it's going to be a new day in Trenton in many respects, regardless of who the governor is. And we're looking forward to seeing what State Senator Ed Durr has in store for all of us, even if he doesn't park the tractor trailer outside of the State House. I don't see him in a Lincoln though, Dan. He's not a Lincoln guy.
Mustang.
There you go.
I got a 64 Mustang. I got to finish restoring.
I love it. Do you restore cars?
I have a 64 that I've been trying to restore for the last 2 years.
See, I admire that.
3 years.
I've got a brother and a father that are engineers. My uncle used to have a shop and works on cars. I inherited none of that. I've actually got a green thumb. I'm pretty good at gardening. I like gardening. And growing fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. But outside of that, I have no real skills, which is why I went to law school, right? If you don't have real skills, you become a lawyer. All
I
I can do
was
is
very
talk.
fortunate. I was very fortunate. My father was a self-made man. He was a carpenter, builder. So I have those skills, and he taught me how to do mechanics. I could do the basic mechanics of the old cars. It's none of this computer stuff. And like I said, my car is the original Mustang 64 and a half. So I'm still working on. Hopefully, I'll be able to have a little time to get around to that. We'll see.
You're going to need to. You're going to need some kind of release to keep yourself from going crazy.
Absolutely.
Hanging around with all of these empty suits. Take it from me. I've never worked in Trenton, but I have to talk to these people all the time. And usually well, I shouldn't say usually, because we talk to some of the better ones, Dan. It is often painful to talk to these politicians. So you're gonna need it. You're gonna come home at the end of the night, and after you're done eating dinner with your wife, you're gonna go outside and you're gonna work on your car.
Well, I hope I get home at night. I've heard about some late sessions because people can't get along.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's going to be one of the interesting things, whether or not someone like you can surprise everyone and actually begin to bridge some of the gaps here. I think, like I said before, I don't want to belabor the point. I think you may surprise some people.
I know I'm going to point myself in the right direction and hope people go with me.
Yeah.
This is about New Jersey and about the people, not about themselves, not about their careers, not about their pocketbook. It's about the people of New Jersey. And let's get busy and let's get to work and do the right thing for the people.
Well, Save Jersey's behind you. The comment section's about as positive as it ever is. Usually it's a smattering of people agreeing and disagreeing with whatever Dan and I were saying. Tonight it's just go ahead, congratulations. Yeah. The future of the Republican Party is populist conservatism. And some of this party's biggest stars, Jeff Van Drew, Mike Testa, now Edward Durr, are in South Jersey. So it's undeniable that the future of the New Jersey Republican Party is now looking more Southern than it ever did before, Dan. Who would have guessed it? Oh, yeah, we did. We've been saying that for years, right, Dan? That all the big races are going to be down here in South Jersey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've been close to the situation. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, we get it in that respect. So, folks, as far as Save Jersey Live goes, we'll keep you in the loop. We've got some more interviews we want to do, but I know during most of the election, we were every Wednesday, 8 o'clock. We did some special various programming, like tonight we're on Tuesday because this is what worked for the Senator-elect. But going forward, we're going to let you know in the new year, I want to transition this to a podcast. So we're still going to do some lives, but amazingly, some of you like listening to Dan and I, which I candidly don't understand it, but some of you
guilty as charged.
Yeah, I mean, if Ed Durr listens to us, I guess that it has to mean something, right? I guess there's just a lot of masochists out there. So, you know, I'm thinking everybody keeps telling me you need to do a podcast because it expands your reach, because you can't always sit down and listen to a video, but you can listen to a podcast almost anywhere. So I think that that's going to be the next step. So more information on that soon. But, you know, Dan, I think you're down for it, right? You might actually have to come over here, Dan, and we might have to start meeting in person again.
Whatever you want me to do, I'm on board.
Yeah.
Just make sure you have the popcorn for him, Matt.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to deal with that. I don't know if I want him sitting there eating the popcorn and distracting me when I'm trying to focus. It might throw me. But I guess we'll try it. We'll let you eat the popcorn, but just don't do it so damn loudly, man. You eat the popcorn like you do everything else in life with gusto.
Actually, I don't eat popcorn.
You don't eat popcorn?
I have diverticulitis.
Yeah, no, you can't eat popcorn.
No. Shame, because I used to love it, but then when I developed diverticulitis, I can't.
Yeah, no, that's the end of popcorn. What's your snack when you're driving around in your truck? You got to have something when you're out all day delivering.
Celery, peppers, grapes, oranges. I'm a fruits and vegetable kind of guy.
A fruit and vegetable kind of guy. Well, you'll live longer than I will.
Sounds very healthy to me.
Yeah, it does sound healthy.
Yeah, the only problem was I was eating cupcakes when I got home.
You're canceling it out there.
Yeah, but I'm doing better now. I got away from the cakes.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have to now. You're gonna need all the damn energy you can get with what lies ahead for you. So if celery is it, then keep eating your celery. To me,
You
I
know
always
my
think it's
rule. You know my
what.
rule. Stay away from carbs. Stay away from carbs. That's all.
Uh,
That's the secret.
oh, that's bullshit. The last time you and I met up, you had a big bowl of pasta.
I did.
Yes.
Oh, that was a while ago.
I guess that's probably true. It's been a while since you and I got lunch. So that was, with COVID, you kind of lose track of time. It's probably been a couple years since you
It
and I
was
have had like lunch.
pre-COVID. It was definitely pre-COVID. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, good for you, Dan, that you're Mr. No Carb now. I'm eating exclusively carbohydrates these days. I think.
No,
Careful.
actually, Dan's right. I've actually cut that's been off my menu. I've actually done pretty well since June. I dropped 55 pounds.
You're down 55 pounds. Well, that walking probably didn't hurt either, right?
That helped a lot.
Damn,
And
55
I
pounds.
just saw his dog there. He's a dog lover too.
I got 3 dogs. I got 3 pit
Uh-oh.
bulls.
Okay.
They're all pit bulls. They're all about 80, 90 pounds. And I don't walk them, they walk me.
Well, yeah, I believe that pit bulls. I mean, they're strong. They're strong animals.
They drag me down my street.
That's a pretty
Wow.
one too, light brown with a little bit of white there.
That's the 4-year-old girl.
4-year-old. Oh, she's got some energy then too.
Oh yeah, I got a 4-year-old male, a 4-year-old girl, and an 11-year-old girl.
Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful.
And they're great dogs. I love them to death. They're my second family.
See, folks, this is why we like this format. Some people have said to me, even though a ton of you watch, they're like, why do you do this longer form interview instead of just doing the regular old 20-minute, let's talk about the issues and nothing else? Because you got to get to know someone, and you get to know someone like Ed Durr.
See my dog walking in the background.
See the dog walking in the background, and you get it, Ed. That's why you watch. I mean, I like to say, you can bullshit anybody for 15 or 20 minutes. You can't do it for an hour and a half. You eventually see who someone is.
Exactly.
So we hope that anybody watching this tonight, now, if you've had questions about who this Ed Durr guy is, you keep hearing about, now you have a better idea. And we're going to get to know more about him in the weeks and months ahead. And of course, here at Save Jersey, even though the election's done, 2022 is underway, new legislature comes in January, there's never any shortage of things to cover. So, throughout the holiday season, which the holiday season's already upon us, I ordered my turkey the other day. Plenty of more coverage lies in store. So I am Matt Rooney of SaveJersey.com. This is Dan Cirucci of DanCirucci.com, and we've been talking to State Senator-elect Edward Durr. Tune in tomorrow on Wednesday, big day. Apparently, we're finding out, we found out right before we started tonight, Steve Sweeney is reportedly going to concede. So things are going to ramp up for Mr. Durr. It's not Mr. Smith goes to Washington, it's Mr. Durr goes to Trenton. I'm excited to see it. Seriously though, Ed, thanks for joining.
I'm excited too.
Yeah, you should be excited. We're excited for you, and definitely keep us in the loop in the weeks and months ahead as you kind of get your feet under you and start to sink your teeth into this new job.
Well, absolutely, Matt and Dan. I'm here at like I said, I'm going to be available, take calls. People can reach out to me, and it's not just you guys. I don't want people to think, oh, I'm just about this media thing. I'm here to do a job. It's about the state, about fixing things for the people. So I hope that I prove them right when they've cast their vote and elected me. I hope to prove them right.
Perfect note to go out on, folks. We'll see you again soon here on Save Jersey Live. Have a great night.
Bye.
Good night.